welcome to the Energetic Intelligence Chair at the University of Mid-Atlantic in Spain. My name is Orly Meckler, and I am the Director of Communication for the chair, which was born in June 2022 with the support of 5 universities and 9 private companies on both sides of the Atlantic, and professionals from a wide range of fields that have decided to join and cooperate in this project. Today, we begin a series of interviews with leading figures in the world that have met John Collins. We are, and in the name of Elena Perez Moreiras, we have the strong desire to create a homage for the legacy that John Collins have left to all of us. And today, I have the honor and the privilege to interview Teri-E. Teri is the first MMC. She is the founder and director of Success Unlimited Network, and she's a Global Coaching Leadership Award and the ICF Circle of Distinction. I don't know if I'm missing something. I'm sure I am. But it is a great honor and to have you with us, Teri, and to have the opportunity to dig a little bit and find out about John and his legacy through you. I understand that you've had a long time relationship with him. So I guess my first question is, how do you meet John and how do you end up having this magical relationship?
Gosh, first of all, thank you, Orly. That's a good question. I think I remember. I was coaching someone who said a friend of hers was just entering or in the middle of his doctorate at the age of 60-something in career management or development, if I remember. And she thought that the SUN program that we offer would be interesting to him, that maybe there would be some kind of combination for us. So I met him in Virginia and we bonded instantly. And yes, there was something for us to do, like 3.5 decades worth of stuff to do together. His energy is what spoke to me first. He's the kind of person I like to have in my life, pulling me forward, helping me be aware of who I am in a very kind, gentle way. You know, I feel so blessed on this lifetime that I had kind and gentle ways to learn some of my lessons. Not all of them were hit bang. And the friendship developed quite a bit. The collegiality developed quite a bit. The awareness expanded into many levels, and I just couldn't get enough of him. No, I mean, once we were accused of actually being in partnership together, because my husband at the time went early to one of our retreats, and John was teaching and couldn't leave, so he had to come the next day. So he drove down. I'll get to the driving story. He drove down to where I was, spent the night, and then we flew together. But when we came in, the eyes were like all over us, you know. And I have to admit, I loved John. And it was the kind of love that's the biggest possible love, the encompassing. You know, nothing in the physical domain. It was just a love beyond. I couldn't get enough of it. Now, the driving. John got an award from Toyota. He got a real leather jacket with all Toyota badges all over it. His car, his little Toyota Corolla, went over 500 miles, 600 miles. it just kept going. John kept loving it. It kept going and going and going. And so I remember him in this Toyota jacket, which he was very proud of.
This is how many years ago? How old would have been John at that time?
Okay, I can answer that. 70 or 70 to 75.
You know, the reason why I ask is because, you know, I only met John a few times through the energetic coaching Zoom space. And one thing that I, you know, was struck by is the level of energy he preserved within him. You know, being 90, I was just impressed, not only by, you know, there was this very, I felt this very kind, very sharp, very bright, you know, rays of light coming through, you know, all throughout him. And I was impressed by how much energy he had as a person. So it's one of those persons that you don't really necessarily match the age to who he is, you know, who the person truly. And so that's why I was curious to know, because I can very well see him in this very young spirit, probably all throughout his life. I don't think he ever changed. Not that I ever met him, but I think he preserved that quality that, you know, for the most part, it's sort of like, you know, loses
I
a
would
little
say
bit.
that's accurate. That's accurate. And it had woven into it, Orly, a sense of humor, like real humor and lightness. He took on a clown persona and went to hospitals and nursing homes and stuff in his costume. He came out in the clown persona at a party. None of us knew it was one of his, I think it was his 80th birthday party. And all of a sudden, John comes out just laughing because he knew what our reaction would be. And whenever we did skits at the retreats, he would go all out. That energy you're talking about would be totally focused into whatever character he was playing. He had tremendous energy, and he also had, to balance that, a quiet side, which was very thoughtful, very deep, multi-level, that he treasured also. So he had the combination of all kinds of wonderfulness. He was also, in my opinion, very well balanced in the feminine and masculine energies. I don't say male and female because I'm not talking about the body, of course, but the energies, and could navigate, pivot between them with ease. I mean, there wasn't anyone who didn't like John. He never complained. I was thinking, someone asked me, did he ever complain? And I could not bring it forth. You know, sometimes when people pass over, they say all kinds of nice things because the person's gone now and they feel guilty. And there's none of that with John. It's all real, all authentic. He was so inspiring for me. I always told him, you're my inspiration. Even if you go, you better stay connected. And he did. He did.
And I'm sure he still is very much connected.
Yeah. When I heard he left, I closed my eyes, went deep, and said, so how are you? And his answer was, I'm fine, and you know it.
Which for the very short time that I got to, you know, see him, I think that's exactly what the approach he had in life, right? He had this very clear, clean, you know,
clear is a good
funny, but deep, you know, the wisdom that most people, not most, I think only a few get to develop in their life, where, you know, they can see through everything without all the emotional baggage on top, you know, and you actually see life no matter the circumstance that you're on, you know, with this this light. I don't know. It's
This light, yes.
so what would you say that were the I guess what were you most attracted about him and his work?
Oh, okay. Well, let me lump it all and say wisdom of what he taught me and then brought into the profession with the energetic coaching book with Leandra was the first time ever about the shadow. I had learned about the shadow in Jung and psychology and stuff, but I never understood its role as the biggest teacher in my life, teaching me about polarity and how it impacts us and blinds us and opens us all at the same time. And he taught that. He taught that in many, many ways, through books, through presentations. Even when we did life purpose stuff, we would look at the other side of purpose so that there was a balanced perception of life, a holistic perception of life, the shadow. And the in trainers' meetings, he would sit back and observe with all antenna. He would observe. And then when the time was right, he would share his observations and usually went further than that, contributed some more. And I was always wondering, what's going on when what are you observing? You know, I've asked him many times, and I've asked him, you know what I like best about him? I felt comfortable in asking him any question. And he was so senior to me and so advanced that I wanted to know what I was in for. Like, what's the value of memories? You are very present, you are very grounded, you are here. I go back into memories all the time. I'm sharing stories of what was about me. Is that necessary? I don't hear you doing very much of that. I mean, I knew his background, but I don't hear you talking from a memory space. You're talking from a present space. And he answered, and I said, what is it like to be so old? You know, and I remember my father had said to me in his 90s, I'm the oldest one left. Oldest one I know. So I was always asking John about his experience, because who else could I talk to? I always have to have some person really senior. They've never made it to 95. 93 is what the age was that usually stopped them. But 95 who carried such wisdom that he was willing to share. I don't even remember your question.
It doesn't really matter, because you know what? I'm listening to you and I just I wonder what it will be like. And when I was listening to how John, you know, not recall from his memory, but actually live in the present, which is a huge difference, because I see how you know, people when they get older, for some reason they have this strong attachment to their past, you know, to their youth or their childhood, and it's almost like they tell the stories over and over again to be able to live through those stories again and again, right? But
Right.
it's like they're missing the gold in the pot, because they're not, you know, they're not really living the same way the present moment. And I'm thinking, you know, as I was listening to you, gosh, I really hope that as I grow old, and if I'm 90, if I'm lucky to be 90, to keep being so alive that the past, yes, it's a story, but I have so much more, you know,
Right.
being present and living in the present, that have to recall the memories of the past because they bring me light or love or wisdom or whatever it is, right? But
And you
to
know,
be able
in business, they have this saying, the opportunity cost. Like, what would you be doing if you weren't doing this?
yes,
And if I weren't telling the stories, I would be present to create more stories that others can tell.
yes,
I just got that.
yes, yes. That's a huge difference in how you live your life when, you know, as you grow older, right? Because there's so much more, but for some reason it seems like society tells us, oh, when you see, he maybe 70, you already lived, so whatever, just let it go. And but to be able to carry, with you, and to keep living every moment with the intensity and the spark and the love and the wisdom and the presence, of your being,
Yeah.
which never ages, it's still always there. But for some reason, that I think it's magical. That I think it's, a rarity in today's world. And I guess that is why people from all, walks of life and age, they're so attracted to John, right? Because
He's present.
he sort of like
We
ignites,
recognize
the
value.
fire, right? The
Yeah.
moment, the present. And I was reading an article about something he said, that today, actually, at the space, Leatra mentioned again about, you have to, in a way, park your ego, which I guess now it makes sense, park your ego to have the spirit, you know, take the moment and not you. And it's such a different experience in life when you do so. And what a gift to be able, to learn from it, which I guess is part of his legacy.
Part of his legacy. I contacted his everyone that I could think of, including his students. I went back and and they all responded. They all, completely remembered him, were grateful for the contribution that he made in their life. We share something, the Kabbalion principles of life.
Yeah.
And John took those and created the whole program for the principles of coaching that we have used ever since. And he audio taped it, and there was some videotaping in those days too. And we had the whole foundation of the principles in coaching. And that was the brainchild of John. That was his brainchild.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because that Kybalion
wisdom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So once we had a call on a very different level. This is another side of John, where I said, so what's good and new? And he said, I won bingo again. I said, again? How often do you win it? He said, almost every time I play it. He said, I said, how much do you have? He said, well, today I made $150. I said, you did? You must be pretty good. He said, I'm not even paying attention to it. And that's, I have some of that myself. I know that if I wanted to, I could win the $1.1 billion
right
lottery, but that's not where I want to put my energy. But John was having so much fun with it. Sometimes he donated it. Sometimes he got bird seed for his friends on the patio, the birds. But he was like all thrilled. He kept winning bingo today. And then they brought to him in the retirement house, to the tables where people eat, a very difficult person who no one else could get along with. And I think they were seeing whether John could do something. And John didn't. In the conversation, it sort of suggested the person wasn't open to a person like John. He wasn't ready yet at all, and maybe won't be in his lifetime. But again, John was aware that they chose his table to put this wild and unruly person at. So I think everyone really recognized him for his gifts.
Yes, he has. And he had this presence, right? That it would stand up in a million, crowd. Like you could see there was, it's so interesting how you know, even no matter how old you are, you know, I
Yeah.
guess the spirit within him was so alive, you know, that no matter if you were, you know, 90 or it didn't really matter because he would shine through. And I think that was, I remember in the online spaces, it was amazing, his presence, you know, there was nothing like it. You know, the people that
I
would
think
all
the
be
word,
quiet.
sorry for interrupting. I think the word that defines him most is consistency.
Yeah.
That's what it is. We all have moments of these things, but he was consistent. That was who he was and is. Mhm.
And it's,
So that's what I aim. That's what I aim for now. I have a commitment to increase my consistency in the best of me.
and what would you, if you had a vision of, and if you put together the work that John and his legacy, and if you had the power to do with it in today's world, have you ever thought how you share this wisdom, this legacy, as a coach, as a, you know, as a human being, as a,
Yeah.
have you ever thought how will you
The-
extend this?
Yeah,
And
my model of life actually comes down to a phrase I learned many, many years ago. The healing of the nations is a personal responsibility. And at first I had no idea what that meant. And then as I grew older and maybe a little wiser, I began to realize it's all about me. And that's what John, you know, it's the concentric circles that weave off of me. It's the networks that weave off of me. The number if I were to apply for a job, I would apply for a matchmaker networking, net making job. I put together people from several times in my life, I've had a party to introduce all the people in my life who never know each other. And they're all, you know, Teri, how do you know her? And they're from all different walks of life, you know, and they connect and they do things. So it's not, I don't see things in terms of the world. I see things in terms of me. And that's enough of a huge challenge, really. I mean, I do have perspectives, you know, what can I do for Sun? What can I do for coaching? But basically it's about, I'm the one that has to do it. And when I show up, if I ever am able to show up with some consistency like a John does, that's what we're talking about. The people he's touched. It doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be a building with his name or the name of a car or something. The Collins coupe. No, that's my philosophy anyhow. That's how I see it.
and um what values do you think John developed as an energetic coach?
Oh, I wish I could remember what his values were. So I'll look at it, not from memory. Well, the first story is shopping. Patience is one of the values. John was the only man I have ever been in the presence of who would patiently wait while I shopped. At retreats, I always wanted to go shopping with John because we'd have these great talks in between, and then he would just let me go shopping and do my thing and stuff, and then I'd come back out and he was just patiently sitting there watching. Not me watching the crowds, you know, and all that. Patience, acceptance, very big. Accept what is.
But to go together very well, patience
Yeah,
and
they
accept.
do. They do. Collaboration. He liked very much to collaborate with people. Humility. I think he parked his ego and forgot where he parked it. lightness and light, that phrase. When he swam, and Alfonso said it beautifully the other day, and I've seen him swim many times. He'd come down. I lived on a lake, and he would swim on the lake, but he was never really in the water. He was sort of skimming it, which is why I put dolphins on today. He was really a dolphin, playful, community, just oneness with the water. I've been to some of his international competitions where he wins golds and golds and golds. He had a whole room filled with gold medals.
Wow.
There are a few silver and bronze, but mostly the gold. And he gave them away to boys' clubs, and he fulfilled or filled up his children, grandchildren, and great grandchildren with all the ones they wanted. And then he had so many, many, many more. So it's generosity, giving.
It's funny. I just heard a story today that he was in Madrid with Elena, and he said something to the effect of, and he's 90 years old, and he said something to the effect of, I think I need now to get a swimsuit because the water is getting a little cold. And Elena was like, oh my God, if you get to only think of that way, because you want to keep swimming, but you just need a swimsuit at the age of 90 because the water is cold. Oh my God. It's
yeah. Well,
beautiful.
There was, and I'm making this up now, and I don't have the adequate words, but maybe there was an immunity to in some way, partial immunity, let me say, to the discords of this level, of this plane on the planet. He really was, and still is, an angel sent down here, if one believes that kind of philosophy. So I can see that he wouldn't even be aware of the cold until all of a sudden he goes, oh, it's cold. I get that. Oh, and the dream team, of course, we can't forget the dream team. So it was in California, what year? Early 2000s, maybe. And John and I, it was in California in a retreat. And both of us found, I saw him over there. He saw me over there. We were being very quiet. We were writing and writing at 6 o'clock in the morning. Everybody else was sleeping. And I was curious. I went over to him and said, what are you writing? He said, my dreams. What are you writing? I said, my dreams. He said, really? What do you do with them? I said, I use them for growth and learning. And you? Same thing. And out of that, we developed the whole process for the global dream team that we have. And we did it many times at ICF for credit. We have a global dream team process. Again, his fascination with other levels of his being. He really worked with his dreams. He learned from his dreams, and he was consistent. No judgment.
That's a great story. How you were together, and you put together these dream team, which I agree with you. It's a tool that we should all use, because there's so much information in the dream world.
Right.
Anything else, Teri, that you might want to share that you would like to have it record and this tribute and this homage?
Dancing. He loved dancing. He used to dance. If you look at all the pictures that you've collected, and I look at the pictures I've collected, his face was, it was like joy was pouring out of him. So
Yes,
that's my final thought. His face just, his eyes were light and joy came out of his mouth, words or not.
yes.
He was just a special person. Absolutely a special person. And I'm very glad.
A few words that you want to say publicly to John.
Say to him?
Yes.
Okay. What time are you getting up today? Because 4 o'clock is angel time. No, I guess keep doing the work you're doing. You know what it is. You're free now. You have impacted more people than you even realize, because we go on impacting others from your impact. And maybe we'll see each other again someday.
Thank you, Teri.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much for your time. Thank you very much for sharing these stories and this this incredible experience that you have had to have known John, you know, so close, and to have worked with him and develop, you know, the dream team and the Kybalion put into the Sun coaching, which what a gift. I mean, one was already huge gift too. It's just
Right.
amazing. And I want to thank you for your time, and I want to thank you for sharing also these personal stories with us, which I think it just yeah, hopefully people get inspired, and you know, and get to read his book and read more about him and the work that he's done, and what a truly marvelous human being and spirit he was till the very last day here in the 3D world. So I'm sure where he is at the moment, listening to us everywhere, we will forever be thankful for what he has shared with us.
Thank you, Orly, for doing this. Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you, Teri. Thank you.